Hi, welcome to, of course,
China.
Today we're here with Simon de Raadt. Simon is from
the
Holland,
Netherlands.
the Netherlands, and he lives in Shanghai.
We are going to be talking about dropshipping. So if you don't know what that is, don't go anywhere. And we are also going to be talking about opportunities, life in China, different cities. So stay tuned and see you in a second.
Okay, so first of all, I want to say thank you to Starbucks. We're sitting here at the Dongguan main CBD, right in front of us. And Starbucks in this DG Mall has been gracious in sponsoring the location for us. So I want to say thank you for that. And thank you for coming all the way from Shanghai. You are on a business trip right now, right?
Yeah, I am. Actually on a business trip in Shenzhen.
Okay.
So Dongguan is like an hour drive away. So
Interconnection between the cities is so important. So easy to get to Dongguan these days.
You took a Didi.
I took a Didi, yeah, actually it's super easy. You just go, you send me the address.
Right.
And then you look at the address, you go to a map, and basically you can choose how you want to get there.
Right.
You click the taxi, and then another screen pops up, and you basically can select
Get a Didi?
Get a Didi.
Or really? You don't need to. I guess I do it in a stupid way.
you copy paste, that's what I did.
I go to the map and I paste the destination.
That's what I did before, and then I saw someone else doing it, it's like,
oh, wow.
It's integrated.
China life hack. All right.
All right, just a quick question. How much does it cost you to go from Shenzhen to Dongguan, if you don't mind us asking?
This is about 200 RMB.
200, that's what in dollars?
30 US?
30 US dollars, and that's a journey that takes...
It's about an hour and 15 minutes.
There you go, life in China.
We were just saying that...
And you have your own driver, it's not a taxi, it's actually just a...
Didi,
yeah.
it's Uber.
It's like Uber.
Yeah, it's like Uber back in the West.
And like I said, in 10 years, you could do this trip in a maglev train in 10 minutes.
Yeah, maybe even less.
Yeah, probably come from Shanghai in what?
2 hours, 3 hours?
Right.
Probably.
I think now it's the train from Shanghai to Shenzhen is 6.
6 hours.
Yeah,
right?
and it's and then I think they want to bring it to 800 kilometers an hour.
Right.
And then it will definitely.
That's gonna be insane.
Yeah.
All right, Simon.
We got some coffees.
Yes, this is a latte. Okay.
Oh, caramel
Okay,
macchiato.
here.
Mocha.
Right there. Latte, both? It's cappuccino one.
这个是 cappuccino。
Cappuccino.
It's a mocha?
对的。
Thank you. All right,
Mocha for the camera
great.
operator.
Right, so Simon, why don't you start by telling us a bit about yourself, why you came here and so on?
Yeah, my first experience with Asia was in 2005. I went to Hong Kong on a trip. It's like a stopover to Australia. And I was fascinated because I was walking on the street at 10 a.m. on a Sunday evening and it was crowded. I actually had to shovel my way forward. I was like, how is this possible? There's no city in the world that I've been to where it's 10 p.m. in the evening and it's this busy. So it kind of triggered me and I was like,
Shanghai, you said?
This was Hong Kong.
Hong Kong.
So this was a stopover on the way to Australia. This is 2005. And then I was like, I want to learn more about this culture, about China or India. I want to do international trade. These are the two countries that are going to have an impact in the future. So in 2007, I decided to do my thesis in China to learn about how to reward people from a cultural perspective. So I spent 6 weeks here and then went mostly in Xi'an, Beijing, Shanghai. Completed that, and it's like Shanghai is really an amazing place to live. I compare it a little bit like New York.
Okay.
A lot of international opportunities, quite a entrepreneurial vibe. I felt like it was a good place for me to get going. But then the people that I met were all expats. They were sent here. So I was like, okay, I need to get a skill first because I'm just a student, just graduating.
Right.
So then I graduated, worked for an international company. Hopefully they will send me to China so that I can get it going. And that didn't happen after 3 years. So then I went to look for a job in 2010. Basically went on a holiday. 1 week Beijing, 1 week Shanghai, and then landed a job, and that made me come.
So you really
Within 10 days.
targeted.
10 days you found a job.
2 weeks, yeah. But I mean, I've told everyone that I know that I'm gonna do this. Do you know anyone who knows anyone who knows anyone?
So you usually hear these kind of stories with people that study, what do you call it, East Asian studies in university, or some Chinese even before that.
They already have an inclination
right.
for Asia.
Right. So this sparked from the one trip you did, 2005. That was the first part. Before that,
I'm really interested about different cultures, looking at the same thing differently.
Okay.
That's something that I find very fascinating. And I traveled to a lot of English-speaking countries, But these countries, in the end, there's a lot of similarities,
Right.
more than because I'm from the Netherlands.
All right, I'm really interested in this drop shipping
What he does
stuff. Yes,
now.
what
Yeah.
you do.
Yeah.
I get ads every single time on YouTube about, oh, I got the secret to drop shipping. Oh, let me tell you
yeah,
how
yeah,
to make
yeah,
tons
yeah.
of money without moving a finger and living the lifestyle.
Just waiting for the skip.
Yeah, look at it. 5, 3, 2.
Come on.
Yeah, I'm one of those advertisements.
I've never seen you though.
All right, if I see you, I'll stay. Okay.
All right, so tell us a little bit about dropshipping. What is it? How did you get started in it? Why is it such a big boom? Let's dive into it.
Yeah, the drop shipping, it doesn't have to be from China, but basically it means you can get the order before you purchase the product. So there's already someone else has the stock for you.
Yeah.
And you actually push the product, you find a consumer, you get the order, they pay you, and then you purchase it to your supplier. So actually it's quite from financial point of view, not too much risk, not much investment. So that's a very interesting model, particularly for young entrepreneurs
Right.
who want to create their own opportunities.
To me, it's the definition of the intermediary, the middleman.
You are a middleman. Yeah, you are a middleman.
You're a new version of a middleman.
Yeah.
The digital middleman, basically.
Yeah.
Yes, you can sit at home in
You're-
your
you're-
basement
you're-
in underwear, and you can be 12 years old, a computer genius. You just build a website,
Yeah.
and you're selling slime from China or whatever it is, you know. And yeah, and you said before, it's not. You don't need to invest anything except creating
Some time
place
or-
to sell.
Exactly. Yeah. So a lot of they're using Shopify or Amazon or eBay. eBay and Amazon don't really support drop shipping, at least not from China, because they want next day delivery.
Okay.
They want to use their own warehouses overseas to be able to let people put stock there. So if they find out you're doing drop shipping from China, they normally will cancel your
you.
account.
Okay.
Can you even I imagine you can even. Let's say you're a school kid, 16 years old. You can
Yeah.
even sell it in school. You don't even need to sell it online, right? I mean, if you fill in the information,
Yeah,
you take
exactly.
the order.
Yeah. If you want to do a manual and submit the orders
mean,
manually,
it's
yeah,
not-
you
yeah.
can. Yeah.
But then you'll be working.
Yes.
So the real dream is that you basically start
Right.
drop shipping. You start to identify a product that's selling well. Then it's going to be scaling. Then you're going to build a
Right.
team around you. So you have a virtual assistant for customer service,
Right.
for your
Right.
branding, for all that kind of stuff. So everything becomes outsourced. You start to build your own brand, put a brand name on the product, so that you can also go for the next product and create a business that can also sustain offline.
So
Okay.
you say Amazon. You say do not support this. That's what you say.
Not drop shipping from China. Drop
No,
shipping can
okay.
still
Because
be
of the
done
delivery.
from
because they
locally.
want to push their own warehousing and all of that.
Their own
Like,
warehousing,
one-day
but also the
delivery.
time.
right.
You can't do that from China.
Because shipping from China now this month is difficult, but then it can be done for in our cases from 7 days. But the most popular platform people buy from is Aliexpress.
Right.
So Aliexpress has this Aliexpress standard shipping that is basically from 30 days,
Okay.
and now even more. So that's something that a lot of consumers don't really accept.
Let's say
Okay.
let's say I'm a customer of one of those 17-year-old kids, and for example, and I bought something on their website right now,
Yeah.
and it's coming from China,
Yeah.
and I'm sitting in Oregon.
Yeah.
How long do I need to wait to get it? Usually, average.
In our case, about 10 days.
So about 10 days from
Within 2 weeks, it will
order.
be delivered.
Your company get the order from the website directly.
So their store is integrated to our platform.
Right.
So we collect all the orders, and then based on the orders, we will source a supplier. We purchase the product locally in China, bring it to our China warehouse, and then ship with a sort of like express shipping methods.
So what it's kind of like, what does the person need to do? Your client, basically almost nothing.
They need to identify which product they want to sell. They need to build the store and run the advertising.
Okay, so you are like the
back end.
the back end of drop shipping. People sell they set up the stores online and whatnot, and then they go through you to get the different
So
products.
obviously there is
Yeah.
value there in just those few things they need to do. Otherwise, you would just do that too and have tons of brands.
You could.
Right.
How many customers do you have at the moment? How many people do you have going through you to get these things?
Thousands at the moment.
Thousands.
Yeah.
All right.
How do they find you?
We advertise. There is a very huge dropshipping community and a lot of influencers, and there are competitors that have been around as well, mainly Chinese or Western. that are servicing drop shippers.
Mm-hmm.
So normally it's either like an agent that you can find, or it's a drop shipping app like we have.
Is there like a name for what you do? Because those guys are doing drop shipping and they're like the storefront, so to speak. They are facing the customer. You are the behind that storefront.
Yeah.
What's the name for what you do?
Most call it drop shipping agents.
Okay.
So
All right.
they're sourcing the product for you and also help you ship. For us, it's more technology driven. So we can see it more like a drop shipping app, like a plugin or an app.
So it's like very streamlined, very easy,
Exactly,
friendly.
yeah.
So if someone want to find you or find this service and find you specifically, you just need to go on the App Store and search for dropshipping, and they'll find tons of apps.
So within, for example, Shopify, you have different apps where you can
already
use.
there, right.
So then they can find HyperSKU, the company that I'm with, and then they can connect.
There
with
has
them.
been an explosion of people doing drop
Yeah.
shipping. What do you see as the future? What do you see are the pitfalls down the lane? I mean, is it going to be just everybody has a shop?
In 2010, Aliexpress started.
Yeah.
So Aliexpress has been basically the driver behind B2C, because dropshipping is very much B2C driven.
Right.
So Aliexpress is mainly the driver behind dropshipping itself. And all the consumers, they can buy at Aliexpress basically, but they're not. They're buying at these middleman sites that are purchasing on Aliexpress.
How
and
do you-
maybe adjust a little bit?
How do you explain that? Because I mean, if I am a consumer, I rather buy. I mean, went to buy my Apple Pen yesterday because I lost it.
Yeah.
I go to a shop, 1,000 RMB. I go onto Taobao is 800, and then I go to even further down, like 100 and something.
To where?
The original one,
Yeah.
up, just
You mean in
yeah,
in
within
Taobao. Okay.
exactly. So why people? That's the end of real stores out there. Number one,
Right.
Yeah.
but why do people choose the middleman?
It's about localization, because quite often the store is in their own language.
Okay.
The look and feel is
Trust.
also more normally the dropshipper will get the product first. They will do a photo shoot, get the pictures ready, or they use companies like yours
Right.
to be able to prepare the
Right.
material to make it more Western friendly.
So it's trust, building the trust, also
Mostly trust.
connecting. It's
Yeah.
psychology of marketing anyway,
It
in
is.
the end of the day, right?
Yeah.
Because the competition is so big out there. How would you know where to go and who to buy from? Even when you go on Taobao and you see this pen for 1,800, 100, you're thinking, right? Like,
Which one is
it-
fake?
Is it real?
Yeah.
Is it real?
It's-
You know, even though Taobao you can just return, but a lot of people also are not savvy.
Yeah.
They need
Exactly.
something easy.
It's
And-
more impulse driven
Yes,
dropshipping, because
yes.
all the advertising is also on Instagram, on TikTok, on Facebook. It's driven by advertising for people to get the
Right.
impulse purchase.
Is it by definition cheap stuff or no?
Not per
necessarily.
se. I mean, you both know China well enough as well that there's always a big range between quality and low quality and high quality. All is available. It's just
Yeah. How much do you want to spend?
Yeah. So that's the main trigger. It's like what do you want to? And mostly using AliExpress as a reference.
Can you do everything, anything, any product for dropshipping? Can someone buy a refrigerator? Dropshipping?
Technically, you can. From China, it doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense from China.
It'll be too expensive
so we
to
see
ship it.
normally products less than 2 kilogram makes
Okay.
sense to ship from China. If it's over 2 kilogram, it will become very
But
expensive.
I would say so it's a shipping cost.
It's mostly shipping costs, yeah.
Like I would say outdoors furniture, something light.
But then drop shipping from China, it's not possible. But you can do drop shipping from anywhere. Even if you're a seller in the US, you can find US suppliers, but you don't purchase the stock until you actually get the order.
Right.
It's still drop shipping. And global brands are doing this strategy as well by eliminating middleman and optimizing the supply chain by getting data integration with their suppliers itself.
So
So it's a whole ecosystem drop shipping.
So what's in your kind of company? What's the personnel looks like? Like what? Do you have a lot of salespeople, or you just get it online? I mean, how does it work? How do you get these clients? You say through people finding you through Shopify and stuff like that.
Yeah,
So the management of the process, that's the most important thing.
yeah, managing the supply chain. That's the most
Supply
important
chain.
thing.
And
So
what kind of skills do operators need? The people who work for you. What do you look for in employees?
So now we want to be the bridge between a Western seller and the China supply chain, the China suppliers. So our IT team, China is super skilled in IT. So we have a very strong IT team. So that's probably half. And then the other half is more account managers and sales and supportive like HR, finance, those kind of things. And our sales and account managers, they need to speak multiple languages. Normally they're trilingual.
Okay.
At least Chinese, English, and something else.
Are they Chinese or foreigners?
A mix.
Mix.
A lot of Chinese have studied abroad, have learned another language. So they are very valuable for us because why people don't like Aliexpress or working with a Chinese agent is communication as well. It's not clear enough. You need translation apps sometimes to be able to get the message across. And you want to build your own brand. You want to build your brand, need to tell the story. And you're not touching the product. As a dropshipper, you're not physically receiving any product yourself. So you need someone who can actually translate the message you want to bring across towards the supplier and make that a reality. So the trust issue definitely is a big thing.
Your clients need to trust you, right?
Yeah, they need to trust us.
Because like we said, it's crazy. You could sell something, make millions of dollars, and you've never touched this product.
But this brings me to a question that I wanted to ask. Like, we were talking about this Apple Pencil, right? I see all these different prices, and my question is like, which one is fake, which one is not fake? Which leads me to question number 2. How do you deal with complaints? How do you deal with somebody who's not satisfied with a product? I mean, how would the
they know?
17-year-old kid who's not, who's has a store, but how does that affect you
His
also in the back
client
end?
complains to him, and then they should complain to you.
Correct.
Right? That's how.
Correct.
But I mean, what is the guarantee? What are the assurances that?
From his side. Right.
Yeah, the quality is tough. That's just by default because we're selling millions of products. It's not like one product. So tell quality control what they check, and they can check it. But these are individual parcels. You don't get a batch, a container load, or a pallet. It's sometimes one item or 10 items that arrive in the warehouse that you need to identify whether the supplier is good or the quality of the product works.
In a way, it's good, right? Because you check it.
We're checking
So
it.
it's like 100%.
You don't need to check 1,000.
One
It's
product,
just.
I checked it. It's not even a sample.
Yeah, it is, but
It's
it's
not
very.
sampling.
But to educate a warehouse on what quality is good and what is bad,
Right.
For thousands of
right.
products and different.
that's
kinds.
very challenging.
But I saw in the video you have on YouTube
Yeah,
that you have different stations.
Exactly.
And you have, I guess, you try to make it more specific. Like you have some people that just do electronics, and some other people do other stuff, right? But still, you don't have someone that is someone checking the shoes, someone that was in the shoe industry for 20 years. It's not like that.
No,
right?
no. There's a lot of common sense to it, and it's also, if you service a lot of the drop shippers, then you also will know which products sell well, and with that you will find a supplier that is.
Right.
Because you can
so
vet
back to
them
your
easily, because once you get complaints, it's not a good supplier.
Right.
So then you know that one is blacklisted, and you.
You
what
move on
do
to
you
another
do?
supplier.
Like what Fernando asked, what do you do when you have a complaint from the
What is the process?
client? Yeah.
So normally it's either we refund or we reship. So these are most common 2 solutions when somebody complains. Either we refund the money that they paid us,
Right, or
we
a new
reship
one.
again at our
Okay,
cost.
so that's facing the shop, the front. But what about with the supplier? How do you handle the supplier? Do they have policies related to this?
They have policies, but the thing is, before you get a complaint, it's already 2 weeks later. And quite often the supplier, they only accept it that you can complain after it's received in your warehouse. So we're kind of bearing the cost for that.
Oh, okay.
So let's say someone is sitting out there now and saying, oh, this Simon guy, I can start a business. Just need someone like him, right? It's a company.
Yeah.
So they have an idea of a product, right? They can do some marketing. They can do the Shopify. Is okay. So they found you, okay? Then what happens? How is the process of starting to work with you works, and what's the cost? Like,
Do they pay you? Is just an email? How does it work? How do they engage your services?
Yeah, so normally it starts, either they have already a product, a picture or a link of what they want. We start to source it and give them a quote. So we give them a quote on a product and a quote on the shipping cost.
Okay.
And the shipping cost, you have faster shipping, slower shipping, so they can also make a choice on which one they want. And then it's up to the consumer, or our customer, the drop shipper, to decide whether our price is right. And then there's normally some negotiation. Like, I've sold it for this price. Can you maybe do that? It's okay. What's your volume? And then basically,
how would they
that's
know
it
the
goes.
volume? Like, do they
Yeah,
need
if
to
it's drop
guarantee?
shipping.
How does it?
So no, it's in the beginning most people don't. Some drop shippers, they have a range of different products, and they have an existing business. They already work with Aliexpress or a dropshipping agent, but they're not happy with the service.
Okay.
So they have an existing, or they know already what quantities they want. The new ones always take some time. We don't expect them to go to hundreds of orders a day, but some get lucky.
Right, right.
But the majority have a.
So they can be a customer can be someone that made a deal with you. I guess you have an agreement or whatever, and then it could pass a year and he sold one product.
Could be. Yeah,
happen.
they only pay us. There's no fixed fee on the platform ourselves, so we only earn money when they start shipping, because our margin is in the product price and in the shipping.
Okay.
And that's also why the Chinese e-commerce industry is not so much about profitability, honestly. It's much more about scale and going for IPO and getting investment in the company. And that's more like how many orders do you have and how many customers do you serve.
That's the value of your company.
That becomes the valuation.
Okay. I have another question related to, well, what you see on these advertisements about drop shipping. Everybody's trying to tell you, okay, I know how to pick the right products. What are the variables to choose a good product? Because you talk about people selling nails, people selling screws, people selling just things that you would never consider as I want to sell this as my profession, but they find a product that has a good margin or that has good, what do you call that, volatility, just selling like crazy, and then that's what they choose. Do you train people in this sense, or you have nothing to do with helping them choose the products that will make them money?
We don't push any products, because it's we think that's also a conflict of interest, because then we know which products sell well, but that means that we're taking away maybe market share of our customers.
Okay.
So that's something. But in general, there are a lot of 7-figure, 8-figure. Once a seller becomes successful, they also want to become known and visible. A lot of them, because they want to sell their courses. Dropshipping itself, I think most dropshippers do it for 1 or 2 years. And then you go into either building your own brand or you go into coaching. These are kind of the life cycle.
Coaching. Teaching people how to do it.
That's what it is now, huh?
Yeah.
Because that's
so then it's the advertisements that we see.
And that's all the advertising that you see is because that's when you can actually earn more money than with less effort than dropshipping.
So how do you know who is a good coach and who's not? How do you know?
Yeah,
but it's just about their brand and whatever they can show on screen, and then you get the flashy Lambos and whatnot. And
if they're making money and they're not a good coach, at least they're smart in marketing, right?
Maybe
they know something right.
It is. No, it is that part of the coaching is purely marketing.
Right.
I see people saying like,
You're selling a dream.
We get this product for 50 cents and I sell it for $20.
Yeah.
Is there markups of that size, really?
Yes.
Yeah. I've seen those, right?
Yeah.
But I mean,
so normally the markup is 5 times 5.
Jesus, 500%.
But there is a lot to pay in the middle. But I think most of the big margins that you actually keep, a lot of it, is mostly like it was done through Amazon and stuff like that, maybe? Or am I wrong?
You have a lot of fees to consider. I mean, you're talking about international payments, which normally charge for PayPal, they charge. So Facebook advertising, there's also a lot of cost involved.
Yes, it's a lot of money.
And it can also, the more people view, the higher your cost as well. So the click ratio is also very...
But I think the thing is to get something, and for that, I think you need to by yourself from abroad to look at Taobao or Aliexpress or whatever, because the trick is to get something that you saw first, and it's not there yet at all, right? I saw this story of these guys that did this map that you can scratch, and they made millions of dollars. And it was the first ones that brought it there, and then the margins are 20 times, yes.
Yeah.
And but I think they went straight to the factory or whatever. How often do you get people that tell you source for them, and then they say, hey, but I saw it for this price in Alibaba?
All the time.
All the time, right?
All the time.
What do you say to them?
As your nightmare.
Because we know what Alibaba is much more B2B and Aliexpress is more B2C, and the shipping methods available are less competitive with what we offer.
Right, and you say, hey, Alibaba, you can buy one, right? So that's
if you want just one, just go there and buy it, and you wait 4 weeks before it arrives, and then you can start it.
And you don't
if
know
you
what
want to
you're
have
getting.
people to buy again, you also and refer to you, and also get in the end, Facebook rating and PayPal rating is very important because your PayPal get blocked or your Facebook account gets blocked, and your business stops.
Yeah.
So when consumers start to complain, then you get a problem.
Right.
And quite often these complaints come by slow delivery, bad quality products. These reasonings are very important.
You were talking about Amazon not accepting drop shipping from China.
Yeah.
Is there any kind of blocking or any kind of ban or any kind of limitation for shippers? I mean, will DHL say like, oh, we don't do this, or UPS says we don't do that? Are there any kind of limitations from shippers as well?
From
Because
shippers,
you mentioned 2 kilos,
Yeah.
and I think there's something there.
yeah. So most drop shippers from China are using less than 2 kilogram, which is also quite often you have low ticket drop shippers, which is low value where the sales price is maybe under $40, and you have high ticket, which is normally also bulkier and heavier. From a restriction for shipping, it's mostly size of the parcel. That's very important. So normally longer side, 60 centimeter. That's what DHL or those companies accept. If it's over, then you charge more, then it's an oversized parcel. So weight is important, but the content is also important. So especially batteries, liquids, powder, those kind of also have restrictions on whether it can be shipped by air and need to be kind of put into a different shipping lane, a shipping method for only battery related product.
But it is possible to ship, because for example, I've been meaning to get a one wheel,
All right.
but it's a huge battery and I have
Yeah.
no idea how to
What
get
do you
it
mean?
to.
It's not from China?
One wheel is made in the US.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I bought the Chinese one and I'm looking for the one wheel.
Ah, okay, I understand.
You want to import it?
Yeah, but I have no
That's
idea.
interesting because, like, is there drop shipping the other way around? Is there drop shipping coming to China?
Yeah, of course. I mean, Taobao is the platform.
I get
for
my
that.
Tums.
I mean,
Taobao do that,
getting
right?
getting
Some-
milk powder from Daigos, from the
yeah,
Chinese
I bought-
living abroad.
I
right?
get my medicine for my stomach from abroad.
Yeah, a couple of times I
Gotta
bought
wait
like
for 30 minutes,
Cheerios,
30 days.
and it took
Yeah.
like a month. Seriously. And
But I
guess
suppose it's the
that's-
same as drop shipping. When something
is.
comes out really hot, like for example a new camera like the C70, they say, okay, but you gotta wait for it.
You get
So there is
some,
there are companies like yours in other places too in the world, I
Yeah,
guess.
so,
right?
so I've been doing it both ways. So I've been helping.
What do you bring?
Sorry?
What do you bring to China?
So China is mostly what you put in your mouth or put on your skin. These are the best
Uh-huh.
so because that's where the lack of trust
Food.
comes in from local production and products. So it's vitamins, it's milk powder, it's more nutrition. Yeah, medicine is more difficult to import for cross-border e-commerce. And then it's skincare, cosmetics, personal care. These are the best-selling products when it comes from inbound to China.
What's sorry,
Go.
just before we take a break,
Sure.
in another minute, I want to ask, what is the most expensive product you ever dropship?
We've ever dropship.
Or is it really nothing gets really expensive?
It depends on what is the sales value or the purchase value.
Right.
Purchase value then.
Like purchase value, you know?
Purchase value for us most of the time it's not that expensive.
It's not that expensive.
Less than
Okay,
50.
so what is the strangest product you've ever done?
Strangest value. That's a good question.
Can we say that on camera though?
Well, obviously, sex industry is big.
Right, I was thinking.
yeah.
Really? Something like
Yeah. So a lot of sex toys are being shipped
toys.
from China.
Yeah.
That's a big selling product.
All right, guys, we're gonna take a very short break, and we're gonna come back to continue talking about dropshipping and doing business in China. Don't go anywhere.
All right, and we are back with Simon, and we were just talking about sex toys. Okay, marking this video not for kids on YouTube for sure.
We always do. We always do. Oh, the first question that I was going to ask you in the second bit of the video was about taxation.
Yeah.
So how do you handle taxation? Because you're sending things from one country to another. What are the guidelines for that?
Yeah. So each country has their own restrictions on the taxes. Like a threshold on how much the value can be. We're shipping individual parcels, so this is B2C. So some countries, I think it's Australia is like 1,000 Australian dollar. US is something like 800 US dollar. And Europe is 22 euro. So there's a big difference per country on
And they
whether
say
you
US
have
is
any.
big on tax.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And in Europe, it's going to change. Next year, 2021,
EU?
July, it's going to go from 22 to 0. So
Wow.
everything has to be taxed.
Wow.
Oh my God.
So that's going to have a big impact for sure.
What about England and Brexit? How is that being affected in terms of taxation?
Yeah, so UK have to, they're still committed to the 22
Okay.
euro or pounds, so the equivalent of that. Then, but they can set their own rules and regulations. But the UK has been a major hub for custom clearance into Europe, into the whole
okay.
Europe. And so that system is going to change because people need to move away the custom clearance because no longer the clearance is valuable in UK
Into
for the
EU.
rest of Europe. So that has a big
Interesting.
impact.
So if you're in the US and you're doing that, you work, you do drop shipping, and you have a brand, and every package under $100, you don't need to pay tax on. but you still need to pay tax on your profits and stuff like that.
You're still running a company,
right?
So you can still you have still profit tax, and when normally if you sell locally, the consumer, there's also a consumer tax, VAT.
Okay,
right.
And that's done separately because the US have this way. Yes.
Yeah.
Interesting. So how about you say you do millions of products basically. SKUs, right?
Yeah.
That's the name of the company.
Exactly. Hyper SKUs.
Yeah, and it's very hyper. Yes, it's millions. So how do you see differences in what people orders from different countries or different regions of the world?
Yeah, we see definitely climate is and time zone is important. I mean, there are products that are hot in the summer, obviously are now in Australia popular.
Right.
While we're in the winter,
times, right?
So that's also important when it comes to country level. We see that so their climate is important, culture is important. US in a way is still leading. So a lot of people are still looking for trendy products. But what we've seen is that a lot of people are looking for the product to sell, but the most successful products that are being sold are not the trending products.
Right.
They're just products that that everyone can use in their daily life. So this year particularly, I mean, Corona year has been a big range of new products that were not sold well before that are doing well. When you think about office wear, we see decoration in the house because we spend more time in the house.
Right.
Pillows and sleeping related products.
Anything for the house. Yeah.
Anything for the house, for the garden. Right. Studying, office, working from home, but also baby products.
Webcams, all kinds of things for Zoom.
Right. Yeah.
Is that also because maybe the trendy stuff is like too competitive, there is so much competition,
too niche,
right?
Too niche as well.
It's too niche as well. Okay.
Because you need to deliver the message and explain why people should buy it. That's much more difficult than explaining why you should buy a pillow or why you should use some decoration in your house to make you feel like more homey or more housey.
And in this industry, so you say US is leading the way, right?
A lot, yeah.
And any country in the world on the rise that you see or coming, like countries maybe before it wasn't so possible? I don't know, Africa, places in Africa or whatever that you see coming with more of this, bigger on this industry?
Yeah, so the main dropshipping countries in general is US, Australia, Europe, and New Zealand. Southeast Asia is doing dropshipping quite well, but then more on the platforms like Shopee and Lazada, which are very much Aliexpress driven already. So that means they have within the platform they have their own shipping solution. So Shopee has their own shipping solution, Lazada. But Australia, most of the goods in Southeast Asia, most of the products are not produced in Southeast Asia. A lot of them are still coming from China. So the dropshipping still is very popular. Africa is building up a lot of trade lanes, but the delivery time is way too slow. But there are a lot of developments in that space between Africa and China, for outbound China. And for South America, it's tough. The custom clearance is very difficult to do, and the transit time is very slow. So to scale it, you probably still have to either buy from US, do dropshipping from a US supplier, or locally.
I understand.
Yeah.
Okay. Do we want to move on to another topic?
So I wanted to talk about entrepreneurship in China. And first, I would like to say, I mean, you actually also run a podcast.
Yeah, I do.
Right?
Yeah.
It's the China Business Cast.
China Business Cast.
And you're hosting it currently. We will put a link.
Yeah,
right? So
sure.
people can listen to it.
How are we doing? We're very new in the space. How long have you been doing this podcast, by the way?
So the podcast is been running for 8 years. I joined it for like a year and a half ago.
Okay.
It's been moving around. It's been rotating. So passed on from one to another.
Okay.
So it was passed on early 2019 to a Dutch guy in Chengdu. I was introduced to him. He had a shout out during the podcast looking for other hosts.
So John is also Dutch.
Jans is also Dutch. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's also Dutch.
So I said, what does it take to become a host? And I've been listening to podcasts myself a long time. I was like, I can either set it up myself or join something existing. And this one has a good reputation. It's opened so many doors.
So first, a shout out to anyone doing podcasts from China.
Yeah.
Yes,
right?
yes, we're not that many. Cheers.
Yes, please do reach out to us. We're really happy to promote all of you.
And I think there is more and more, which is a great thing, right?
Yeah.
And so what is this podcast about? Obviously, it's China Business Cast, so it's about business, I guess.
It is, yeah. It's
what
about
kind of topics?
So most of the time we ask ask either entrepreneurs or senior leaders to join that have at least 5 years of experience doing business in China or with China.
Okay.
So from origin, it started more on international trade, so more from a sourcing perspective. Then it moved more into e-commerce.
yes.
And now we see that everyone is linked to everything in China is linked to everything.
Yeah.
I mean, look at Alibaba, which is a huge leading e-commerce company. They are active in 51 industries.
Right.
So that means that that everything is so interconnected
Yes.
that every industry has useful developments that are worth sharing.
Yeah.
Right.
So we're trying to bring these stories from other entrepreneurs, from other leaders, to be able to share that with other people that are interested in doing business or are doing business already in China. So yeah, it's kind of like war stories on how
Right.
to do it. And it's all in English, so
how-
it's not in Chinese. But
So
it's
you only do audio, and how often do you guys do it?
the idea is once every 2 weeks, but we've been slacking this year. We've been slacking. I have to say
see.
that.
I wanted
I
to ask
see.
you a question. What do you think, I mean, from all these talks and all the things that you learn from all these leaders and entrepreneurs, which industries do you see as the future for China? What is developing? What's cooking that is going to be the next new thing?
Yeah.
Is it AI? Is it...
So I'm based in Shanghai, and we try to diversify also the people that we interview more from outside of the big cities. That's why I
Okay.
also wanted to come to Dongguan and meet you guys, because there are a lot of developments are also regional based. So I'm also in the Shanghai bubble, and the Shanghai bubble, it's much more on technology and e-commerce and health. But the main themes that we see overall is definitely elderly is a huge one that is growing.
Elderly.
Elderly care,
Makes total sense.
elderly care is being huge. So then you also have to think of a lot of people cannot be with their parents for a month if they are hospitalized.
Yeah.
So getting someone to sit next to them, or getting them
Caregivers.
a care home to stay. So that was a big one. Technology, you can actually read the 5-year plan of China, which is also exactly where subsidies are being given, where people
Where the
drive
government
into.
is pushing.
So yeah,
Right.
technology, e-commerce, healthcare, transportation, these kind of things are infrastructure are very hot topics. That
You mostly talk to entrepreneurs, right?
Mostly,
Not
yeah,
only, but mostly, I would
yeah,
say, right?
yeah.
So I think we're all entrepreneurs here, and I wanted to talk about the China opportunities,
Yeah.
right? Like opportunities in China. People always ask me, and even if they don't ask me, I volunteer the information. I always say, there's so much opportunity. I've been here 17 years. I still feel it, probably even more and more.
Yeah.
Now, perhaps our position in what we do allows us to see the opportunities and to have the opportunities, right? But let's talk about that. What do we mean when we say China is full of opportunities?
In
What do you think?
your sense, from your perspective.
In my sense, there's so many niches in China, and each niche can be so big just due to the size of China that everything sounds already like an opportunity because it's scalable.
Yeah.
When do you define it's an opportunity? Is when it's scalable, and the scalability in China, it's possible. But then you have to find the right angle, and that part is, I think, the most tricky part.
Right.
So you meet people about continuously that are doing things like, really, this exists.
Right.
There's a market for this.
Right.
Yeah.
And then it's like, yeah, there is. Okay. Wow, there's so many opportunities. So that's basically
Right.
how the vibe and the people you surround yourself, they're all doing so many different things that you just are blown away. And you get out of this bubble and the comfort zone and the people you're exposed to,
Right.
that you feel that there's opportunity. Everyone is excited and hopeful. And
I would add to that. I think that culturally, I think China more than any other place in the world, business and life and your personal life is totally mixed, right? So every Chinese people, right? Every person,
social interaction is an opportunity.
right? Exactly. So that's the thing in China, and the more connections you make. I mean, even like, okay, our kids go to school in Chinese school. The other parents, they brought their kids to my kid's birthday, and suddenly after 3 days, they ask me. It's all opportunities right there. Maybe they are business people and stuff like that. It's all mixed, and I think that and that just shows that to get those opportunities, you really need to be out there, right? You need to talk to people.
And
What do you think?
particularly, I think that you need to be open-minded. We've talked about this before. You can come to China as one thing, but if you're open-minded and you're out there socializing and networking, opportunities are everywhere. You always talk about the scenario of the English teacher coming to China, which is a gateway to China for a lot of foreigners.
Right.
But if you get yourself here and you're able to socialize and network, there's a path for you even after teaching. Get your bearings after a year, 2 years, and you could be on your own doing your own thing soon after that, if you're smart enough and open enough and flexible and, entrepreneurial.
Yeah, so if you come to China as a teacher or whatever, right, and you want those opportunities we're talking about, yeah, you really need to go out, right? You really need to meet people. It doesn't mean you have to go out to the bars. Maybe 10, 15 years ago it was that, right? But I mean, just activities, whatever, charity. I mean, anywhere you meet people, there are opportunities.
There's people that I've met hiking. There's people that I've met riding bicycles. There's business opportunities that I've met because of YouTube. It's everywhere.
And one thing I think to remember, which is I guess a pro tip, I would say, don't go and meet people to look for the opportunities. You have to understand. It doesn't happen this way.
Yeah, people see the agenda behind your interaction.
Don't have an agenda. I mean, you can have it deep inside, but don't really have it, when you talk to people, just make friendships, make connections, right? And those opportunities just come, I mean, it happens all the time. Really.
For me, this year was particular that I can see the value of the relationship that I built over the last years in China. I made a post on WeChat. Obviously, everyone was in need of these masks, right?
Right.
And it was always the weak links that reached out to me. It was people that I maybe didn't even met, just socially connected, or as a friend of a friend that says, hey, I saw your post, I know someone who's looking. And these were the connections. So the social media part, that network of getting referred by someone else because they trust you, that made it grow as well, and to get connected and introduced to people. So if I would post, I'm looking for this on social media and WeChat, I will have my network will help me find what I'm looking for.
It potentializes the opportunities. It potentializes your message.
So you never ask the question directly to, like, I'm going to meet you because I want to have a business opportunity. Right. No, I want to meet you because I want to get to know you and see if there's a trust level, see if we can buid a connection. And then I can, you're not asking for a favor, you ask like an advice.
The no agenda thing builds trust.
And then most of them, the Chinese will also check with their connections whether they know you. And if that justifies, then you can take it to the next level.
I actually took it to a next level in a way in the last couple of years, because even when I go to sales meeting now, that I'm supposed to sell something, I'm not trying to sell it. It's kind of like a next level, because
for me, something that has worked a lot, very, very well, is just being of assistance, being of help. People come to me with questions about whatever, like just the other day, Daniel Dombro was asking me about some camera equipment and lighting and sound. I'm like, dude, do this, and I gave him a whole bunch of information. Builds a relationship right there.
For sure.
Any financial exchange? None. But it's something that's really meaningful.
It comes down
to people.
Share what you know with people. Let them know. This is a great way to build relationships, and it's also, it feels good.
Having come back from Beijing, I was really interested to explore this topic of the Shanghai bubble. I feel that I have been living for so long in the Dongguan bubble. I go to Beijing and I'm like, I do travel, but not so much. So that was a bit of an experience. How do you see our bubble here in Dongguan? What is your perspective, your idea? How do you feel about the city?
That's exactly why I was excited that I was invited to come here in person, because I've been there last time I was there 4 years ago or 5 years ago, and I was visiting factory. We're producing the plush animals, like the toys for WWF and for Miffy, and then you go much more to the outskirts, and then I stayed a little bit in the center with the bar area, and that time Dongguan, you can just feel that it was happening. There was something coming. It became more than a factory town. It became more and more opportunities. And the last 2 years, I see more and more e-commerce companies moving their fulfillment, their warehouse from Shenzhen to Dongguan.
So that is actually happening.
That's
this
happening
is becoming
already. Yeah, and these are huge warehouses. It's not small warehouses. Huge warehouses, sometimes even automated.
Right.
And they get subsidies from Dongguan government because there's some tax benefits as well. So it's like this is going to be the next kind of like operational area for e-commerce.
Logistics. I think the whole greater Bay Area, right, is
huge
really
project.
Important, and Dongguan has a very good advantage, in being in the middle, but also being more affordable.
Yeah, for
way more
prices.
affordable,
For
Than
right?
Guangzhou or Shenzhen, yes.
So I mean, this is
You guys were putting something together in your magazine about the future of Dongguan.
yeah, the future of Dongguan.
What are some of those?
The future of Dongguan? Well, you know, after all, it's a developing city for like 20 years now, right? So there are not too much land. There is not too much land available, but there's still a few areas. And the future of Dongguan is really three places, right? They're talking about. So it's like a triangle. It's Songshan Lake for high tech. That has been.
That's where Huawei is.
Yeah, Huawei is there, and they're still developing, and it's been slow but steady over the last decade. And then you have Nanchang New CBD, which is coming right here, right? I showed you the picture before. And you have this in Human and Shannan, the Binhai Bay, which is the city of the future. Like I think different areas in China working on this kind of project.
Yeah.
Very impressive. I was there. See if it really goes as planned, you know. But and transportation is crazy. I mean, this is all China, I think. You know? But especially in Guangdong, I feel, you know, also with all the airports, I think for airports is the most dense in the world, the most dense area with as many, you know, with so many airports. So I think it's really interesting. But even if you are in Shanghai, like you said, if the train is like 6 hours, right, already, and it will be even shorter. So I mean, yeah. But leaving the bubble thing, right? When you come to China, if you do decide to come to China, choosing where to live is really, really important. And often we don't have a choice. The job tells you where you go, or you just happen to go to a certain city.
Some people do have some preferences. Some people do have a preference, like I want to go to a big city.
If you're in a position,
because
then yeah, sure. So that's where I want to say, you know, think about advantages and disadvantages according to your lifestyle. In different areas, right? So Shanghai would be very modern, amazingly modern. You know, I've been to Hong Kong hundreds of times, and then only after that I went to Shanghai the first time many years ago. I was like, wow, I kind of like this better even than Hong Kong, but it's so expensive too.
Yeah, it is.
So it depending on how much money you're making, similar to Hong Kong, right? Like I told him, he probably lives in a half size of my apartment and pays 5 times more.
Probably.
Right?
Probably.
And then Dongguan is more, you know, so it's the second tier city, right? Like many cities like this in China now. Personally, I love it, right? So, you know, for
To me, the one is
It's
the
much
right
more
size.
adventurous to be here, I would say, than Shanghai.
Right. So Shanghai is
It is also the right size in my opinion. It's not too big like Shenzhen, or I lived in Shenzhen for about 2 months.
Right. Yeah, it's really important. But if we had to give advice, we need to give advice.
How do you
Some
choose a city? How do you choose where to live?
Yes, how do you choose where to live? You know, I think China will have more and more, you know, people migrating to it. It's kind of like the new America. So how do you choose where to live? What are the main things? Like, what do you think?
So I see like most people that are coming to China for the first time, they go to the big cities. So which is Beijing, Shanghai, Guangzhou. But if you speak some Chinese already, then you can go outside. But quite often going to second, third, fourth tier cities is more when you have some language skills, or you send there as a teacher, but mostly language skills because you want to take it to the next level. And we see that the same for Chinese individuals as well. A lot of them have been moving to the big cities to build up a career, and now we see the push from the government to also let them go back home, because to develop the service industry back home. And that means that also there's going to be more, well, again, opportunities for foreigners to also open up a business, because there are more like-minded people that they can connect with that can help to close the gap and become more...
I actually don't really like the idea of coming to a big city when you're just coming to China, because you get into that bubble where everything's in English, for example. And I agree with you in that part, that language is the one thing that opens up all kinds of opportunities. So if you come to a place like Shanghai, how much do you need to use Chinese? And then it's like you moved all the way around the world, but you're still operating in English. And what are your incentives to move to a place where you're going to have trouble communicating? I think it makes people less willing to.
Because people don't think about it before
Just
they come.
jump in the deep end of the pool.
But you know,
and
even, I mean,
That's what I think.
Nowadays, most China is like that. I mean, you don't need to speak any Chinese to live in Dongguan, just fine.
Yes.
But you can go to some rural area in Hefei or whatever, when we talk with Carl,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Where they really don't speak English, and that's where, you can jump into that. But a lot of times you don't have the choice, right? I mean, but if you come as a teacher to just start teaching and then find
Then
something
go
else,
far
you
away.
can have a choice, right?
Yeah.
Find those places, think about that. But if you come with a family already, I don't know, I guess people are different, right? I would say going to Shanghai with a family is like moving to New York. Think about that. Would you want that? Or would you want to be in a city that's more laid back? Like
Yeah.
Dongguan or some
Chengdu
other
or those kind of.
Chengdu, right, yeah.
What about your language skills? Where did you develop them? How would you rate them?
I think my I speak Dutch, English, and Chinese. A little bit German. And French, I think, is very far away in my mind at least now. But my Chinese, I think, is about HSK 5. So you have these levels of to 6. I have never really focused on writing.
Okay.
I can write, but using just
The predictive
recognizing
dictionary thing,
yeah. Recognizing the characters. Speaking and listening is fine. Not to a really high
Reading?
level, but okay. But reading is so-so, and writing is terrible.
Okay.
Because I think nowadays everything is voice messaging as well.
Did you study it? Did you?
I took some. I think the first year and a half I took classes,
Okay.
but next to my job, so it's part time, like probably 6 to 10 hours a week.
Okay.
And I'm still learning every day. I'm still just using some learning app to keep improving.
So now that we spoke about all, like a bit of advice and opportunities in China, do we have more time before the break, Fernando?
We got like 4 or 5 minutes.
Okay, so I would like to talk about the China dream, right?
You said that this is the new America.
I've been saying it for 10 years, honestly.
Yeah.
We could see it, right? And it's fulfilling the prophecy, right? It is the new America, but it's a different kind of America.
Yeah.
It's a new America in the sense of quality of life, standard of living,
Opportunity.
middle class, opportunities, right? Comfort, but it's different, right? The dream is a different kind of thing.
Starting
What do
point.
you think is that China dream?
You start.
You always start.
Is it different for foreigners and for Chinese as well?
It's definitely different. I can give an example. I gave a workshop in a company where half of the people were European and half of them were Chinese, and I asked them about their why they do what they do.
Simon Sinek.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Start with why. So I actually used this concept and put it into a workshop.
Right.
And then the final conclusion. Let's go to the conclusion immediately. Is like the Chinese. They all wanted to improve the quality of life for their family.
The Chinese.
The Europeans, they wanted to improve themselves so that the family so they can take care of themselves.
So they don't need to. The family
You don't
doesn't need
rely
to
on
take care of them. Yeah.
Exactly. So that was for me, a big eye-opener, because that's actually what has been the driver for most people in China. Because China, we said it again, it's full of opportunities, but if you create the opportunity, you need to make sacrifices to be able to make it happen.
True. Very true.
These sacrifices are normally individual sacrifices for the benefit of the people supporting you, which is quite often your family.
Yeah.
Your parents or your grandparents or your kids or your wife or husband, whatever. So that sacrifice is there, but you only want to sacrifice it if you have hope for the future to make it work.
Right.
And in China, there's a lot of hope. Because we see progress. Progress equals hope. That's what Tony Robbins always says.
Right,
Progress
right.
equals hope.
Right.
And we've just described the development of Dongguan.
Right.
There is progress everywhere around you.
Yeah.
I think
And
that
that inspires people, and they give people hope, and then they start to dream. And you
Right.
allow people to dream because the environment that you create becomes inspirational, and then you become hopeful, and then you start to dream, and then the Chinese dream evolves. And this dream, like you asked, is China dream, Western, definitely is different because the foundation is different. Just like I expressed,
We
one
come
is
from
to-
different
But I think
backgrounds.
after you say that, it made me think. I think that even American dream before, right, and now, I guess the dream is depending on the person, but maybe the China dream is just the ability to fulfill your dreams.
The
in a
to
way.
leave a legacy, to leave
yes.
something like the people
To-
from behind that you leave behind are gonna, like your kids or your grandkids can actually have the life they want to have.
So maybe it's similar to the American dreams in a way, right? After all.
Yes, it's just set up in a place that is different, that operates under different rules, that has a different system. So you need to adapt. But the idea of for me, a dream here in China is to fulfill my destiny as a teacher, as an educator, and it served its purpose. I mean, I am living my dream basically.
And I think that it's
But that's a
perfect.
Western way approach, because a lot of Chinese are not living their dream.
No, their parents'
But
dream.
it's not just a Western approach, it's also an experienced approach.
It
You
is.
know?
It is.
Because if
It's
you ask me,
definitely.
my China dream was different.
Yeah, for
15
sure.
years ago, it would have been make a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was. And now it's, I always tell people, foreigners, especially new ones to China, I always tell them, life is now.
Yeah.
Life is not later. Life is now. So, like people that make 25,000 RMB a month, but they live on 3,000 because they save. Saving is great, but I mean, don't go crazy. Live, right? So it's kind of like what you said. I agree with that. The dream, the China dream is the fact that we can do something that makes us, satisfied, and we fulfill that. Plus, we're living well now, right? And hopefully, we can make some money.
I'm gonna go back to something that I've said in other videos. As a person, I have like 5-year plans. So at 25, I wanted to be a skydiving instructor. At 30, I wanted to move to China. At 35, I want to become a scuba diving instructor. At 40, I wanted to become an Ironman. And now my dream is YouTube.
Right.
I got 3 channels
Right,
going on.
right.
So China has allowed me for the last 20 years to pursue all those different interests that I've had, and these are interests that I probably could have not pursued in my back home in my home country.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
so that's my China dream right there, and that's why I say that I'm leaving my dream. Anything that I want to pursue, I can, and China has afforded that to me.
But I guess that it could be that cities are different, and someone in Shanghai may answer more with money in mind, or could it be? If
I think
you see in
Shanghai is definitely more materialistic driven.
right. Okay, we need to
Sure,
take a
we're
break.
gonna take a short break, and we're gonna come back in a second. All right, guys, and we're back with Simon. This time around, we're gonna be talking about
Business culture in China.
business culture in China and how it's different from the West. So,
Yeah,
what's your first question, Mr. Glickman?
Right. So I mean, business culture in China and just culture in general is so different, right?
What are the differences that you see? How does it compare to Western business protocols or ways?
Yes.
So I've worked for a Western company in China. I've run my own company, and now I'm working for a Chinese company. So there's a lot of differences itself on how the company culture itself. So it's from a business culture, it's very defined by the industry and by the company, obviously. What I found is that from a Chinese, in general, I mean, it is not for everyone, but in general, we see that in China is more more hierarchy. So there's more appreciation for the boss and the leader or the manager. There's more. Quite often they are right, and if you don't agree, you don't agree face to face. You
Right.
agree sometimes with your peers to create a connection. So that one, from a leadership perspective, is sometimes very difficult to connect
Okay.
with the employees. So that's something
So
that
they're basically a big one, right? Face culture,
yeah, that's definitely one.
big one, and
Yeah.
it affects all
Yeah.
aspects of life,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Right. So
And then you need to be able to instruct people more, because if you delegate, the interpretation might be wrong and then you get a conflict between the leader and yourself. So
So you-
I found that it's more beneficial to instruct people more clearly what they need to be done,
Right.
than saying, I
Right.
want you to do this, and that this is so open for interpretation that
Yes.
it becomes confusing. And that's something that works much better in China in general, to be much more clear
and
on
they,
this.
like, for example, like they won't a lot of times they won't say yes or no. Just
It's
say something else. Like
a
Maybe.
very
No,
no,
they will
I
say-
hate maybe.
Maybe
They
it's
will
quite
say
often.
sure or this. Or I was like, just
It's
tell
normally
me.
a
Are you
nay,
gonna
no.
do it?
To me, it revolves around a very powerful concept in China, which is harmony.
Yeah.
They put harmony above anything else. So conflict is not harmony.
Right.
So they handle conflict differently. They handle disagreement differently, because harmony is probably the most sought after quality in a working space. Which makes it difficult when you're a foreigner coming here. Like, but why? Just there's sub channels to handle these grievances or these difficulties or the differences.
Situation in China can be that you think someone really likes you and they really don't like you, and you wouldn't know. It's like a Westerner, you would know, but the Chinese people, you just don't know. It all relates to that face thing, maybe the emotions they keep inside, they don't open up. I mean, okay, I'm generalizing, obviously, and China is also getting some influence from the Western people in recent years. Some.
Think about the people that work for you.
Right.
Think about Kathy, for example, somebody who worked for me and now is working for you. Is she your standard Chinese person?
Is she? I don't know.
I don't think so.
Working with foreigners for a long time, so
all her life, pretty much.
Yeah.
Right. But still, but even though you can still totally see, maybe because of that you expect that I can see the Chinese person, you know what I mean? Like with different things, you know.
You work with foreigners and Chinese people at your office in your workplace. How do you handle their differences? I mean, are there conflicts that are difficult, or what do you see in these interactions?
So, for Chinese, it's more difficult to connect socially because your after-work activities are different. So that means you normally it has to be a dinner or a karaoke to be able to build something. You don't go for a coffee for most of the time, unless they're more Western-minded or Western. Then you could go grab a coffee and connect, because getting the connection is very important. So I see there's still, in my case, there's a lot. Quite often there's a distance between me and the Chinese colleague. So I need to find a way to help bridge that distance to become closer to them. Because when you're closer, then you're both willing to work for each other and help each other to grow, and you're more aware of their personal interests and struggles and etc. So I normally spend more time on getting connected with them socially by sending them personal messages, not harassments, but just messaging, asking them and keeping them informed about situations much more, because building up the connection with a foreigner is much easier. Because you're both new into another country, you're a guest here.
Yeah, so especially expat to expat, we understand each other in a way that even
it opens so many doors with expats, and they become lifetime friends. It's been amazing, to have this.
Do you have many Chinese friends?
Yeah, but the majority come from a work-related or sport-related.
Sports-related. That's what I wanted to talk about, because for a lot of people, joining sports activities or sports meeting or sport
with volleyball.
With volleyball or Paul from Walkabout Rojo with badminton. Like when you join sports, the hiking thing, that brings people together in a different sphere.
It's a real life, regular, simple life.
Similar interests. Interesting.
So when you mention sports, what kind of examples could you give us?
I've been playing basketball since I came, and actually already from the second day I came in 2011, already was asked to join a team just to join their practice and their games.
And you play basketball, right? And then you may go. It happened to me in the beginning, 15 years ago, 16 years ago. You play in the street, you just join. They're very welcoming, right? Chinese people are very welcoming.
Super welcoming.
And you play with them, and then come for dinner with us. Exactly. You just jump on their motorcycle back then and go. And nobody spoke English.
And you're also playing, right? So you've been doing the same.
And so sport is a good one, actually.
Another one that's interesting, but it's kind of like awkward in the West, is the whole cigarette thing. People that don't know you, offer you a cigarette, I don't really smoke, but I would like to talk to you no matter what. I mean, regardless.
It's been big for me because I
it's been an icebreaker
for many years.
Yeah? Do you?
I don't smoke, no.
Okay.
No, I haven't been smoking for since I've been here, but I before also not. But it is for, basically what people say, if you do sales, you need to drink and smoke.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you cannot do sales in China.
So what about, we talk about culture, right? And adaptability, of foreigners, right? Some foreigners complain all the time.
Yeah.
And I think maybe they are the short-lived foreigners, expats, right? Some of them, maybe tragically, stay here for a long time and they still complain for 15 years, right? So first I want to say, if you come to China now, and if you're here in 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, and you complain about everything, oh man, you don't know half of it. You weren't here 20 years ago, 15 years ago. Believe me, it's way, way better now, right? So What are the things we need to adapt to? What are the things that maybe or you used to get frustrated about, but now you're like, okay, whatever.
Yeah, I've learned the words between accepting and expecting to find that difference, because when you expect expectation, when you have expectation, then life in China can be very tough.
Disappointing, right?
So you have to learn how to accept that things are not happening the way you expected it to happen, and that's continuously happening on a daily basis, almost hourly basis, because normally you're not really well informed, or you just don't have no understanding of how it's going to happen or what's going to happen. You quite often, as a foreigner, you're sometimes dropped into a meeting room like, okay, now what? You're a foreigner, so you talk to this foreigner, but what's the context? What are we talking about?
I think you have to accept in some way things that you can change, right?
Yeah.
But things you can change or do something about it in the moment, maybe you can still argue. Like, I give you a couple of examples. I would never accept someone smoking in an elevator. I would not accept it. I would say something. I would not go in the elevator, and I would say something. I'll make sure they know that this is not right.
I'm exactly the same.
Okay? Even though I smoked.
Even after 20 years?
Yeah.
Until a year ago, I smoked here for 15 years. But still, it doesn't matter. I mean, it's just wrong, right?
Yeah.
But you know, when you see, I drive here, and when you see stuff that's like, you know, I learned to accept that.
I know we talked about driving pretty much every episode, but it's exactly the same. You kind of like, yeah, it is the way it is. It is the way it is, and you develop, you change your. Do you drive here?
Yes.
You do. You change your driving style to like accommodate for the unpredictability.
You just
the unpredicted
more
nature,
alert, right?
Yeah.
You're more alert because you know people will do some crazy stuff around you. Going to the street, don't even look, whatever. But I just
that's one thing that it kind of like you learn to drive their way, but in a way inside you're like, why? Like you can't fully accept it that there's a guy driving in the wrong direction. You're like
the other day I was walking near the computer market in Dongguan on the sidewalk. And it's a nice area, it's clean, and I see a little girl taking her pants off and peeing.
going.
Yeah, and on the sidewalk, and the mom is looking at her phone, whatever. So my reaction was exactly like this. Like I was like, I did this, like I made a face to myself, and then I was like, okay, Z, just keep walking. You can't do anything about it, you know. So this is the kind of thing that we
Learn
don't
to
like
accept,
it, but you learn to accept. But it's happening way less than it used to.
It's much less. I think traffic is a great indicator of where our culture is. It shows a lot about the behavior and the culture itself. You see in countries like India, business culture is messy, streets are also messy, traffic is messy. When it comes to Western countries, much more organized with traffic lights and road signs. And China has evolved, also becoming much more organized. People do stick to their switching lanes, but at least there's a lane.
Yeah.
Right? And the switching lanes on both sides. But the speed is also limited on how fast people drive, especially in a city. It is much more organized, but it's still free for interpretation. And that's also what the business environment is in China. I think someone described it very well. It's like Chinese economy is like the government sets the boundary, and within these two boundaries, you can operate freely.
Right.
You do whatever you want, but don't go past the boundary, because then you will get into problem. But within that, you can be as free entrepreneur as you would like it to be. And the same on the street. You can cross the road. You can go on a scooter on the highway. I mean, we've all seen them.
Yeah.
Those are the domains where we say China has more freedom.
Well, it's weird to me when we're talking about China culture is that China is kind of like a very united country. They're very nationalistic, very patriotic. We use the term that you want. They're very united.
Pride.
But when it comes to driving, it's me and my interests and my my way, and they drop
because
it.
The country is united around the country, not around individuals. You know, so I think I want to get there first. So I don't care.
One example I really always love to give is like someone is driving, like really cutting people and going fast and speeding through lights, and then they stop and they arrive, and then they're standing there for 10 minutes.
There was no rush.
You know, I always say like it's a different. If someone is doing something bad in the US driving, they're an asshole. They're assholes, right?
Yeah.
In China, it's not like they're trying to it's not like they're doing something intentionally to hurt you or to make you slower.
We
or
have a
something.
joke in
They
Colombia.
really just don't think about you. They just think about themselves in the car.
In
the moment.
Colombia, we say that they're late for the mother's wedding.
But I learned that it's not
And the
true.
police takes it.
I think very deeply. I think I learned that they do have empathy to others.
Yeah.
They just, it's not on their mind. Once you make them pay attention to it, there is empathy there. There is like, oh yeah, okay. You know what I mean? It's not like I don't care, I'm an asshole. It's not. It's very complicated for people that haven't been here for years to understand
Yeah.
this psychology about them. Yes.
You mentioned earlier about the whole coffee culture after work. How knowledgeable are you about tea and the tea culture? Because tea is much more important to them than coffee.
It's changing.
Yeah.
Do you drink tea?
I do drink tea. Yeah, I do.
Have
Yeah.
you? I mean, there's a lot of experiences that actually take place.
Yes.
People go out drinking tea.
Kombucha.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's where a lot of business takes place.
Right.
Do you have that kind of culture at your work office? Do you drink tea or do you drink coffee at work?
No, in this company, it's more coffee or milk tea. So that kind
Bubble
of
tea.
bubble tea.
Yes.
That's now what most people drink. There is a tea table with
Yeah,
a
that's-
frog and with all these stones and all this kind of.
There is.
and
You
that's-
can't
there is.
have an office in
Yeah.
China if you don't have a tea table. I don't have one, but any business that you go to, there's a tea table, and that's where you sit and discuss business.
Right.
So that's what I wanted to know.
Yeah.
Do you have one?
I probably have something small, but we don't use it. Yes, we have a bar, so
Yeah.
it's more that. So just before we finish here, what the future holds for you? Yeah, what's your plans?
Yeah.
Still in China?
Dropshipping, podcast,
in
everything.
This industry.
So I've been helping Western companies to enter China to localize their services for almost the last 10 years. And since 2019, I kind of gone across with how can I help Western companies to get their products out of China? And that's where e-commerce, global e-commerce is going to be, in my opinion, driven by China. I mean, we already see the numbers booming. And China is going to be leading from that, from a resource perspective, from technology perspective, but also financial perspective. So the problem for Chinese companies is how to localize their services, how to go global. Because they tried a lot, you see a lot of Chinese companies go global, but it's still head office driven. There's no real localization. The decisions are made in China. So I was basically start to look for which company is able to service these Western online sellers and to actually localize the service, not push a Chinese solution, but tap into what is needed and how to transform that from a technology perspective. And for me, bridging these cultures, I find fascinating. So I wanted to do the other way. So I'm going to help Chinese companies to go to Europe, to localize their service, be locally present in Europe. Because with my background and experience, I understand the e-commerce landscape, I understand language well enough, the culture, that it can be a value for a Chinese company to localize, because I'm a white face. For them, I'm a white face,
Right,
but
right.
I do have some yellow in me by now over the years.
So you are moving. You're gonna move. To
I'm moving, and Corona has slowed it down. Well, hopefully next year when there's actually events happening, offline events
so you're
happening.
gonna move with the same company,
Yeah, I'm gonna set up an entity in Europe for them, build a team there for them.
and I guess you will travel to China.
I will travel
when
up
needed.
and down.
I mean,
yeah.
your family is Chinese, right? So
If my wife is Chinese, 2 kids, so they're
Yes.
mixed. And for them, I mean, most of the expats, why they leave China, if they have kids, is for education.
right.
So same for us. International schools are so expensive.
Yes.
Local schools bring so much pressure to the households that a school in Europe, in my case the Netherlands, offers much more flexibility, but also more freedom, and still the same learning curve that you
Yeah.
can create. So
True.
yeah.
All right. Well,
Okay.
Simon, we want to thank you very much for the time, for coming all the way from Shanghai to meet us here in Dongguan, for enlightening us and telling us a lot more about dropshipping here in China.
It
And
was very, very insightful. We know dropshipping now. I'm thinking of starting something. I'm going to talk to you right after this. Cool.
Thank
all right,
you.
guys. Well, once more, thank you so much. And you know, guys, what to do. If you like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. And if you like the content of our channel, make sure to hit the subscribe button.
Right.
And when you do that,
and if you're listening on any podcast channels, please subscribe to our channel.
Sure.
And share with your friends.
all right, guys. And this has been, of course,
China.
bye.
Bye bye.